Coming up, we've got my weekly update, which is going to cover my diet, my exercise, my continued abstinence from not drinking, and what all that's done to the scales. We have the community news, which comes first, featuring your advice, tips, questions, and more. But before both of those, let's dive straight on into the waffle section. Howdy to all of you that know me, but to those who don't, I'm Phil. This week I want to start off the waffle section with a bit of a waffle about you. Congratulations! Congratulations for starting your Mounjaro weight loss journey. Congratulations for working hard on your weight loss. And congratulations for the weight you have already lost so far. Congratulations on the hard work you've put in to lose that weight so far. Congratulations on the hard work, determination and effort you've shown so far. Congratulations for getting back on it when you've fallen off a little. Congratulations on not giving up. Congratulations on not getting too down this week if you've not had the result you quite wanted. Congratulations on getting the result you wanted this week or even exceeding them. Congratulations on working with others who are supporting you, or congratulations on supporting others who need it. Congratulations for pushing that little bit harder this week when you needed to. Congratulations for realising you need to ease off a little bit this week and take it a little bit easier. Congratulations for not getting too ahead of yourself when you've received a compliment saying how good you look lately or how much weight you've lost lately. Congratulations for not getting too down when someone told you you've cheated or you've taken the easy way out. Congratulations for not varying from your extremely strict diet this week. Congratulations on that treat you've earned this week and enjoyed. Congratulations, full stop. This journey is so different for each and every one of us, equally as easy and equally as hard for all of us. We wouldn't be doing what we are doing if we didn't need to, but it certainly isn't a walk in the park. And sometimes you just need to hear you're doing well when you are, and even when you're not. So congratulate yourself, congratulate others, enjoy the wins, and just reboot and reset once you've had some of those small failures and start again. But most importantly of all, keep going. You're ahead of most just by getting started on this journey, and if you keep going, you will eventually get to where you want to be. It may take a few months, it may take a few years, but you will get there, and in the end, it'll be completely worth it, and congratulations when you do get there. Now, when I was thinking about doing this part of the video, and I was thinking about congratulating you and saying the reasons why, and saying that I just thought some of you might need to hear that right now, I changed my mind. That's not true. Some of us don't need that right now. We all need to hear that from time to time. We all need that congratulations because this is a hard journey. It's a hard slog. For those who say you're cheating and it's easy, they haven't got a clue. We all need congratulations for what we're doing, and I hope when you hear this, it puts an extra spring in your step or makes that smile a little bit wider on your face when you stop and have what this will mean to your life when, not if, you reach your goal. I really believe in positive thoughts and positive beliefs bring positive outcomes and positive reactions, so keep that in mind when I reach my goal, not if I reach my goal. Now, I also wanted to mention the Waffle Section love that I did mention last week, and it's just being confirmed by the amount of comments I've had this week just saying how much you do love the Waffle Section. It seems to be a lot of your favourite part too, so thanks for getting back to me on that. Now, the last thing I wanted to waffle about this week is the actual weekly update itself. It is now available as a podcast. I didn't ever think that would be a thing. It was only due to Sam mentioning it the other week, asking if it would be possible that I created this as a podcast, or converted it to a podcast, shall we say. I looked into it. It seemed fairly straightforward. I just changed the playlist to a podcast playlist, made it available, give it a new title and description, and put a new square thumbnail on. Why YouTube couldn't keep it as a rectangle is beyond me, but yeah, it's a square thumbnail. So if you're ever wondering why it's a podcast, it's now a podcast. I believe all that does is makes it available on YouTube Music, and on YouTube Music you can just listen as opposed to watching. You can still watch, obviously, but you can just listen as well, and that means you can lock your phone, put it in your pocket or your bag, whatever, or when you're out walking or doing some exercise, you can just listen to me waffling on as opposed to watching me, which is probably a bit of a blessing for some of you. Now, let me know if any of you listened to it via YouTube Music since I've converted to a podcast last week. I don't think it should have any impact or any issues, but if it does, please let me know. I'm still very, very new to the whole YouTube game, and converting to a podcast doesn't seem like there's any issues, no downfalls, no pitfalls, but yeah, any issues, let me know and I'll get them fixed. I'll speak to YouTube, I guess. That's it for me. Nice short waffle this week, but I'm going to move on to some highs and hellos from all you lovely lot. I'm going to start this week by saying hi to Richard. Richard from Prague in the Czech Republic, which is still a place I've not been, but I'm dying to go to. He's lost a fantastic 3 kilograms so far in just his first couple of jabs. So good luck, Richard, for the rest of your journey. You're off to a fantastic start there, mate. Keep it up. Hello next to Julie, who has just lost another half a stone, which takes her up to the 8 stone milestone. Now that is an absolutely fantastic achievement altogether, and she said she was so damn proud of herself, and so she should be. What an achievement that is, and that just shows the brilliant hard work you've put into this, Julie, to get to that 8 stone milestone. We're all proud of you too, never mind being proud of yourself. Plus, I am definitely going to be digging that skipping rope out if it's been that successful for you, Julie. So thank you for updating me on your weight loss there. 8 stone is fantastic. Next up, we've got hi to Karen. Karen has been following along since virtually the beginning of these weekly updates and basically the beginning of the channel. She's commenting she's agreed with me doing a bit of a reboot or a restart. I'm still not sure what I'm calling that. And she's now having a bit of a mini break herself for the next couple of weeks up until the beginning of September. And she's gearing up to go again and go back at it in September. And you can actually follow along Karen on her journey if you like to. She's got a YouTube channel as well. You can follow along on Karen's GLP-1 Mounjaro journey. I'll stick that up on screen so you can follow that there. And you can go and watch Karen if you don't already and get some fantastic in-depth tips and advice from her. Good luck, Karen. Enjoy the time off. Finally this week, it's a hello to Sam in South Wales, and Sam has just passed on some good advice telling me to never apologise for being myself. There's quite a lot of you say that, but I am one of these people who tries to please everyone, shall we say, and I'm starting to learn. I'm not going to be able to do that on the channel and YouTube. I'm never going to be able to please anyone. So thanks for Sam. I'm glad you're enjoying the updates, mate. That, however, is the waffling section all done. I'm all waffled out till next. If you want to shout out in the waffle section, come and say hi in the comments to this video, and I haven't said it for a while. But if you do come and say hello, even if you're a long time listener, put back in where you're listening from. It still makes my day when I find out that I'm speaking to someone in different countries, different continents. You know, it is mind-blowing that people still watch this channel from all over the world. So stick that in the comments and let me know where you're all watching from. Time now, though, for the community news. Now, I'm not too sure there's much to talk about in this week's community news. Anyone can think of anything major that might have been happening with Mounjaro, drop it in the comments because, oh, there was the price thing, wasn't there? Yeah. Some rumour or talk about changing price. I'll stop joking. It's not a funny subject, is it? It really isn't. You know, there's a lot to go over there. I've even done a separate video. If you've not seen that, I'll link that now, covering it. It was as it was first breaking, so there's not a great amount of detail in there. I'm going to go over some of that here, but not in exactly the same order. We've got a bit more information now as time has gone by. A little bit, not a great deal, but yeah. What do I say? Where do I start with this? You know, anyone who's not heard, Mounjaro prices are going to be shooting up now. It's not going to be the 170% across the board as everyone's panicking about. It is going to be ranging from 45% all the way to 170%, and that's from the lower, middle to higher doses depending on what you're on. So yeah, there's going to be a massive hike. Anyone who gets it from the NHS, you won't be impacted. There's no price change to our NHS here in the UK, and that'll carry on. You'll still be getting your prescription exactly as we're. Yeah, it's going to be a 45% increase for those who do pray privately like myself, though, which I think it's the vast majority of this channel seem to pray privately. And if I had to guess, I'd say 80-90%. I don't know how many, but it doesn't seem, we know how hard it is to get it on the NHS. It really is quite difficult. But as far as I can tell, though, you know, this 45 to 170% increase is going to impact most of us. Another thing to point out here is that cost is, you know, the 470% you've seen banded about, that's not the price to us. That is the price to the providers that we get it from. So their price increase is going to be 170% for them on the 15 milligram pen. Now, what that means to the final price for us as consumers is yet to be decided. What I am hoping is the providers, you know, all your providers that you use out there are still free to go and negotiate directly with Eli Lilly and come up with some deal potentially between themselves, which could vary from provider to provider. It could be a whole UK thing. We just don't know yet. It's still very, very new. But yeah, hopefully though, they will come up with some deal and there won't be this huge hike. We've all been told about it. Hopefully it is a bit of scaremongering, and yeah, hopefully the media have initially reported this for obviously clicks and stories and things, but let's hope that it isn't as bad when it finally comes through to us pricing wise as it appears it could be at the moment. Now, the reason this has all come about is that President Trump in America has put some pressure on USA drug manufacturers to make it more of an even playing field across America and the rest of the world when it comes to how much people pay for their medication. So in simple terms, he just doesn't want other markets outside of America and their people paying less than Americans do for the same medication. That's kind of understandable. We'll go into that in a minute. But it appears that in most countries, especially the ones who've been commenting, they were on a similar tariff to America anyway. They already pay similar to the US prices, and some were even shocked that we got it so cheap in the UK. They didn't realise how cheap we were getting it for. The reason for this and why it's mainly going to impact the UK and UK consumers is we had an initial deal with Eli Lilly originally. I think, I don't know if that was last year or the year before, but whenever it was. And that deal was for UK providers to get a much cheaper rate than most other countries. And now they need to reverse that to bring us in line with the rest of the world potentially, and definitely in line with America. So that's why it's going to be the UK market that's hit so hard. And during this, on my last video that covered this, I've had some good chats in the comments from people who are not in the UK, so some from America and some from the rest of Europe, Australia, places like that. And they think it's just fair that we pay the same price as they do. And I agree and I disagree to some extent. And I'm not just sitting on the fence for that answer to keep everyone happy, which it actually sounds like I am. Now, the reason is I agree that we should all pay a similar price, and we shouldn't get it considerably cheaper than any other country. That's just not fair, especially the country that manufactured it. And I can understand people not from the UK being unhappy that we were. But there's a few things you've got to remember when you're all up and going through all the scenarios and the reason why we do get it so much cheaper. For example, if you compare the USA and the UK, like I did, and I'm not very good at this, so I used the ChatGPT to give me some facts and figures. Now, we know this can be wrong, so don't take it as gospel. But it said that the rough comparison between things, wages and bills and cost of living, similar. The main differentiator here was USA salaries, the average or the median across, I think it said, across the US, the salary there is $70,000, and you compare that to $40,000 in the UK. Now, I know this is hard to judge, and salaries vary differently from towns, cities, states. You could use London wages here compared to the north, and completely different as well. So it's not as simple as that, but you can see why it wouldn't have been simple to just price the medications the same as it was everywhere else for the UK. I'm sure there are countries with worse monthly wage, annual wages in the UK, and they're probably still paying more. But I also think it's perfectly reasonable and even commendable that President Trump doesn't want to be seeing Americans pay more. It doesn't look good for him when they're paying 2 times, 3 times, in some cases more than what they are in the UK. He wants his people to pay less, and that's completely understandable, and especially from a company that is manufacturing in the US. Now, where I don't agree is with having the price in place for well over a year, and with just 2 weeks notice telling everyone it's going to spike dramatically, given hardly any advanced warning, to come up with some arrangements of what people might be able to do. We have a situation where people are scrambling now to stockpile or facing the possibility you just have to go cold turkey and stop Mounjaro in the next few weeks, without being able to, afford to buy the next pen. This is totally unacceptable, and part of me wonders why Eli Lilly would do this. Would they do this just to get higher profits? It seems a little bit strange to me if that's the goal, if that's what they're intending to do, though. Is this, it won't be as simple. It's not simple people making these decisions. It's going to be experienced people who work for Eli Lilly on their board. It's going to be, I understand that it's come from President Trump and the hands forced a little bit, but surely the directors must realise that they bump this up in the next couple of weeks and it goes too high. Most people, and it's definitely one that's been talked about a lot in the comments on my channel, on other videos, on this video, I'm sure will be no different, but I think the general consensus is if people can still afford it, they will jump to Wegovy, which does seem to be a fair bit cheaper. We know it's not quite as effective, but it's it's closing the gap all the time, and it is significantly cheaper. And Wegovy won't be going up significantly in price because I believe either one, we're already on the correct pricing for Wegovy, or as some people have said, it's a Danish company and therefore they're not bound by the same rules or the pressure as Eli Lilly are. But yeah, that's a whole other story, and I covered that in another video potentially. One thing I will carry on from my other video covering just this specific topic was, some potential workarounds or options you might have. I'll just fly over them really quickly now because there's been quite a lot of people who've come up with some other ones since I did that original video. And that's just to pay the increased price is first and foremost, that you can do it. Money's not tight for you and you can just carry on your Mounjaro journey. You're probably just going to pay the additional fee, and then that's you carrying on, all right, a little bit disgruntled that the price has gone up. Another option, which is definitely the big one right now that a lot of people seem to be doing, is stockpiling, getting multiple pens from the same provider if you can, or if they won't allow you getting pens from multiple providers at the same time, so signing up to 2, 3, 4 different providers all at the same time and getting the pens while they're still cheap now before the 1st of September. If you are interested in signing up with Voi now, I have been told that it's getting more and more difficult with providers to get hold of pens, but if you do want to try Voi, they've got a 25% off in the link in the description of this video below, where I will receive a small commission if you do use that link to pick up your first order off Voi, and a 25% discount will be available there. Another option to double up with that stockpiling is you could buy higher dose pens and half dose. Now I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, and I didn't even really want to mention it because I try and stay away on this channel for speaking about things like that. I've done things like that. There's other things that I do which I don't like speaking about on this channel. I try not give advice for things that can go potentially wrong. So, you know, like for example, you could get the wrong dose. You could underdose, you could overdose. You know, it's the same with, you know, the fifth dose, the golden dose, whatever you want to call it. There's ways that can go wrong. So I don't really like to speak about them on the channel. There's plenty of fantastic other YouTubers covering that, and they do happily go into it and talk about it and give you great advice and tips. So I'd suggest looking about doing that as another option. I'm not going to cover it any more here. Another potential option you've got is you could remain on your current dose or potentially go back down in dose to the cheaper, lower doses where they're not going to see a bigger price hike and you might be able to afford those. You know, that's, you know, if you remember, I've just done that recently. I've gone from 7.5 milligrams all the way back down to 2.5 milligrams. But I'm not saying that'll be a good option for most of you. You know, that kind of defeats what you've been working towards. There's all sorts of reasons why I've done that, and you'll have seen that over the last few videos. And another option you've got is to just wait and see what happens. You know, UK providers, as I said, have got the opportunity to go and speak direct to Eli Lilly, see what they can negotiate with Eli Lilly, see what discounts, you know, Eli Lilly might be able to offer them by buying in bulk and they can pass on to us. Potentially even what offers they'll be able to offer. I was thinking along the lines of, you know, they might offer you buy 3 pens and you get 20% off each one, but you have to sign a 3-month contract and they send you one a month. I believe that kind of thing is available on some providers already, though I haven't managed to find any of these. My provider Voice sent out a message, email to all their users saying that they're reviewing their changes. They will honour the price until at least the 14th for anyone who's currently with them. And then after that, they will be reviewing and they'll let us know as soon as possible before the 14th what the price changes are going to be. But yeah, I've not seen anyone offering these 2 for 3 deals or sign up for so long deals. But if you do know of any, stick them in the comments and, you know, people will be happy to go and have a look at what's going on there already. But you could just be patient. Finally, another one, the big one that's to go along with the stockpiling is switching to Wegovy. I mentioned it just before, but a lot of providers are already starting to recommend, suggest moving to Wegovy. And that is a good route you could potentially go down. You know, Wegovy isn't quite as successful for the overall weight loss. It'll still work, it'll just take a little bit longer. The pricing should, as I said before, stay the same, so there's no need to worry or panic that that's going to shoot up in the short term, because Novo Nordisk aren't bound by the same rules as Eli Lilly by the looks of it. And again, I have no idea if correct, but Wegovy prices, like I said, don't seem to be scheduled for any big spike. Now, for those that are wondering, my plans are going to be, I'm just going to sit tight for the next week, 2, 3. I've got until the 14th of September to make my mind up if I want another pen. My current pen expires next week, so I'm about to order another one at the same price. That's not going to cost me any more. I'm potentially thinking about going to 5 milligrams. 2.5 seems to be working all right, but I would like a little bit more assistance, and obviously went for 7.5. I'm probably looking at maybe order 2 5 milligram pens before the 14th, but that second one I won't do till close to the 14th. I'm going to sit tight, see what comes out with the price and what's going to get passed on to actual consumers and how much the provider is going to be able to absorb and what deals they're going to be able to do with Eli Lilly. I could probably afford a small increase. I'm not talking much here, but you know, a small increase. And if it goes ridiculous, I might look at switching to Wegovy. There, what's on my mind at the moment, nothing set in stone. I'm going to sit tight for the next 2 or 3 weeks and see what happens. What are your plans though, ladies and gents? Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about doing. You know, are you going to stockpile? Are you just going to go cold turkey? Are you going to switch to Wegovy? What are you thinking about doing? Stick it in the comments, or what you might have already done already. I'd be interested to know. I also want to mention that this is probably going to rumble on for a good couple of weeks at least, if not longer. So I'll probably do further updates specifically just on that, potentially separate videos. Could just be in the weekly update, so we'll see how that goes and how much there is to talk about each week. Let's move on now though to more community news, and firstly it's a couple of updates for Jim, who was having issues. If you remember last week I told you he was struggling to move from 2.5 milligrams to 5 milligrams, and a couple of ways he tried just didn't work out well for him. He was seriously sick, vomiting, diarrhea, things like that. And we had the Barbell Bunker who give their suggestion, Jim. They had it similar to you. They were having similar side effects. And what they did is they went to 5 milligram pen, but they did 40 clicks, which is what they're saying is 3.3 milligram doses. And they did that for 3 weeks, and they've said they've now moved up as well to 3.75 for the last 5 or 6 weeks, and they're absolutely cruising and flying on that. They also said some tips to us to eat slower, not late at night, and of course, plenty of water. Another was from ANAT, and I'm sorry if I'm getting that name wrong, it's AINAT, who said they had a similar issue. They were trying to move from 2.5 to 5 milligrams, and so what they did is 2.7 milligrams every 4 days via 33 clicks of the pen, and that was the 5 milligram pen again, and they now plan to move up in 0.25 increments if their body will allow it. They did say though that this works for them, and they don't advocate anyone else. It's just what they did, and I'd like to echo that, and it's been a good while since I've said it, and I should be saying it in every video that I'm not a medical professional. You know, if you need some medical advice, proper medical advice, speak to your provider, your doctor, your GP, your healthcare professional, whoever it needs to be. I just pass on what I'm doing, what I have done, and I also pass on what others have tried themselves. And sometimes that might work for you, but none of this is medical advice. Please seek proper medical advice if you need it. But for Jim, I hope there's some good tips and advice there for you, mate, and hopefully it works. Great. Next up was a great update for me, and now I'm not diabetic, but after chatting to so many of you over the last few months, I'm now starting to understand a little bit more about how it works. Obviously, I don't know much at all, but I know the blood levels are the main key things. So Ian wanted to just share his results, and he wanted to say after 5 weeks of being on Mounjaro, his results and what have changed. I'll pop the message up on screen because it goes on quite a little bit and there's quite a lot in there, so I thought you can have a little pause. But the short version is he has always struggled to get his HbA1c blood results down. They were fairly high, and despite trying exercise and diet himself, it never seemed to budge. His last average for his HbA1c results averaged a 74, and 48 is above diabetic. After 5 weeks on Mounjaro, his test results were down to 38.4, meaning he was below the level of being diabetic, and was now, on top of that, nearly 10 kilograms down in just 5 weeks. Ian did this with diet and exercise as well, not just the medication, but it just shows you what an impact Mounjaro can have on diabetics and diabetes in general. And as Ian states, it's life-changing and potentially life-saving for so many people, and self included. So well done, mate. Good luck on the rest of your journey. Make sure you keep me updated how that goes. Now finally this week in the community news, it's a bit of a strange one. I'm going to pop it up on screen. YouTube have offered me £100. They claim all I need to do to get this £100 is turn on channel memberships. So I'm going to do it. I've read the small print. It says I get £100 for turning it on. It says I get some money for every time someone joins my channel membership. Now don't worry, I'm not asking to join a channel membership. I've got nothing to offer. I'll be doing the basic of how I've got to get it up and turned on. And I assume YouTube is just going to give me £100. Sounds too easy. Sounds like a scam, and if it wasn't from YouTube Direct on the YouTube studio, I would think it was a scam. But I'm going to turn channel memberships on. There won't be anything really there for you guys to join up and get. I think the basic ones like emojis and stuff, so I'll leave that on. I don't know how long I need to leave it on for, but once I've had the £100, I'll be turning it back off. Free money as far as I'm concerned, so thanks very much YouTube for that, and I'll see how it goes. That's it though for this week's community news, and you've got any questions that you want answered, or you've got any tips or advice you'd like to pass on to others, or some tips or advice you'd like to get yourself, then just leave it in the comments of this video, and we'll try and cover as many as we can in next week's update. And speaking of updates, it is now time for my weekly update. Before I go through my past week, if you have found any of this video useful or insightful, or you're just enjoying it, then please do like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and you'll be prompted next time a video comes available for you to watch. Thank you. So let's get on to what I have been chomping on this week. We'll cover my diet before we move on to exercise, and I'm still going to pop up the impacts of not drinking alcohol. Now I did plan to do a short 5-day update if you remember from last week, but due to making that other video on the price hikes, it is now going to be the reverse. It's going to be a slightly longer update to get us into a weekly release in the middle. To be doing that, I'm going to be covering the whole week plus up till Sunday the 17th of this week. Then next week we'll pick up from Monday the 18th, which is the actual day I'm recording this now, and hopefully get into, like I said, that weekly midweek release. Just before I go into it though, I think I might have missed 1 or 2 meals. I feel like there's not maybe 1 or 2 meals missing. It's not major. There was nothing unhealthy. It was just run-of-the-mill meals, but I feel like there's a couple of days when I thought I had 3 meals, but I seem to only have 2 now. Yeah, I might have. It's been a long 10, 11 days. So we're going to start on Sunday the 9th of August. I just had a banana for breakfast, and I had a busy day, and I only had 1 meal covering dinner and lunch that day, and that was good old faithful of chicken breast, hot sauce, whole grain rice, and a little bit of mayo. And that came in at just 700 calories for the whole day with the banana and that meal. Now, it was the same on a Sunday. I did only have 2 meals, but it definitely boosted those calories because in the morning I had the Greek yogurt, the blueberries, the mixed nuts, the honey, and the chia seeds on top, which they do add a nice little taste to it, I must admit. Not sure they've had any impact on me yet, as of yet, but I haven't had them that often. But that was around 500 calories for brekkie, and then again, just a 1 meal in the afternoon, and that was because Did end the day with just my youngest. My eldest was out for the day with some of his friends and all their mums, so it was just me and the youngest. And we went swimming and we went to the park, and then he wanted a McDonald's for his dinner. So we ended up in there about 2, 3 o'clock, and I had a Big Mac with fries. I had a large with a Fanta Zero, mainly for the drink, because I only ate about 2/3 of the fries, maybe, in the whole Big Mac. And the app reckons that brings in around 900 calories. So around 1,400 calories for the day, boosted by some fatty. I will say at this point is usually when people start leaving things in the comment like, come on Phil, why is something so unhealthy? You know, why aren't you sticking to a strict diet? You don't take Mounjaro seriously. But for me, sat my 6-year-old enjoying a McDonald's after a nice day together, I just wanted to do it. And yeah, I did enjoy it. And you know, I'm not going to be super strict anymore. I felt like I was, chocolate gate aside. Most of the time I was super strict and I denied myself things, not because I was hungry, you know, just, that's not a good choice. But I am going to have the odd treat going forward, and I think that'll help me not have to do a full reboot or a restart again by adding this fatty food in once in a blue moon. So I did enjoy it. It was really nice. It was tasty. And it meant I cleared around 1,400 calories for the day. Monday was no breakfast of the day, and lunch was sweet chili chicken breast with a side salad with chive dressing and some pickled onions, and that was around 500 calories. And then there was Mediterranean style couscous with chicken breast, hot sauce and mayo for around another 500 calories. Just 1,000 calories that day, so we're a little bit low at the moment. Things aren't doing so well with the diet, even though we're trying to, had plans to. Tuesday started the day with 100 calories though, and that was via a banana. Lunch was chicken breast, salad, French style dressing and some pickled onions for another 500 calories. And then the evening meal that night was some pasta mixed all in with like cucumber, sweet corn, onions, gherkins, jalapenos, chicken breast, and some light Caesar dressing. That was around 725 calories, meaning I had around 1,300 calories for that day. Wednesday I was in the office, so I had a banana, a Huel shake and 2 boiled eggs for breakfast, which is kind of like my thing now on a Wednesday. I had some, for lunch I had some spicy prawn dragon sushi rolls with a Huel vitamin drink and some watermelon, meaning I cleared around 500 calories for lunch. And then I had the leftover pasta from the night before again, so another 700 calories roughly, meaning I hit around 1,900 calories this day, which is what I'm trying to aim more for, but it's not as easy as I thought it would be. And I did that without adding in any Big Macs that day. Thursday was the fajita style chicken breast with side salad and chive dressing, meaning just 300 calories for lunch. And I can't for the life of me remember what that Wednesday dinner was. Now I know that was one of the days I definitely had dinner. I just can't remember logging it. I'm assuming it was chicken and rice, and that's why I forgot, and I just forgot to take the picture. And yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna go for chicken and rice whole grain, but there's no calories and there's no full day for there, so apologies for that. Friday, banana to kickstart the day, so 100 calories again. I made chicken breast wrap from some chicken that I had spare going over that didn't go into a meal from the air fryer, that had some salad on the wrap, some light Caesar dressing, and a tiny sprinkle of cheddar cheese. I think I might have put some pickled onions in as well. Came to around 700 calories for lunch. And then dinner was chicken, hot sauce, and 450 calories. It was only with couscous and not the rice. I mean, it hit about 1,250 calories that day. Saturday started with the Greek yogurt, blueberries, mixed nuts, honey, chia seeds, and a banana, and that was about 300 calories. And then again, fajita style chicken, that's one of my favorites at the moment. Salad and chive dressing for 300 calories. And the evening meal, you're not gonna be happy again, it was a pizza. Now, I put pepperoni because I can't remember what it was called, but it was like some proper Italian pizza from Tesco. It was only a ready-made pizza. Fairly small, thin base, and you drizzle over some honey once it was cooked. I ate about 3 or 4 slices of that. They were fairly small, you know, nowhere near like the size of a slice of Domino's or something, and I reckon that was around 800 calories, taking me up to around 1,400 calories for Saturday. Finally, yesterday the 17th, I had a Greek yogurt combo again with the nuts, the fruit, banana, honey, chia seeds, and a small 300 calories for brekkie, and then a fairly healthy, small roast dinner. It was a little bit of mashed potatoes, some roast potatoes, it was chicken breast, it was sprouts, it was sweet corn, it was carrots, and I did put a little drizzle of gravy over so it wasn't too dry. I've estimated around 850 calories for that, or the app did once I saw the picture, which for some reason didn't save. That's around 1,150 calories for the whole day. I felt from Monday onwards, things felt back to normal after the second full dose. I had no hunger all week. I was eating because I knew I needed to eat, not because I was hungry. So it's good to see that the medication's working, even at that 2.5 milligrams. Strangely, I did wake on Tuesday actually with stomach rumblings, like, you know, you're like hungry, small ones, 2 or 3 of them. And I went down, I had coffee, I do black coffee when I first get up, and that went straight away, and no other feelings since then. Energy levels are starting to get back to normal. They are pretty much back to normal. I'm feeling full of energy, feeling great again. I'm starting to bounce out of bed again. Not quite to the level I was, but not far off. I have yawned a couple of times, but that's when I know my body wants fuel, wants food putting in. It's not because I'm tired, so I eat and that goes. And I have found that, I am really starting to get back to how I was a few weeks ago before the break from Mounjaro, which is a great bonus for me. Now, it could be because of Mounjaro, it could be because I've stopped drinking alcohol again, it could be because the diet's improved again. More likely though, it's a combination of all things and all those working together that made me give another boost of energy and everything. Either way, I'm happy. Funny enough though, I do have a headache right now, but I do know why. I've not got enough water today, and that's my own fault. I should be taking plenty of water. So go and get your water filled to remind yourself once this is finished. If you do get headaches and you think you're drinking enough water, try adding some electrolytes in. That's not what I mentioned for a while, but it seems to be fairly common. Electrolytes seem to help a lot of people who get headaches, so add that to your water and see how it goes. Let's move on to exercise next and general health and wellness. And it wasn't exactly the week I wanted. It wasn't terrible. I did manage on the Sunday, the 10th, to do a 20-minute run, which burnt around 260 calories and around 3,000 steps. On Tuesday, I got out for a walk, which is a nice walk and do in the lovely weather. It's just over 3 miles. I covered in 53 minutes, burning around 345 calories and around 6,000 steps. And I managed to do that again yesterday, Sunday the 17th, when I covered again just over 3,000 miles, nearly 6,000 steps and around 360 calories burnt, as you can see there. I still need to get the dumbbells out of the shed and find a skipping rope under the stairs. They're both buried under a load of rubbish. I do need to get them out, and that'll allow me to do some exercise at home when I don't have to rely on the partner being in, so she has to have the kids and I can get out for some exercise. I can do it in-house while she's not in work. Steps for this week or so, and if the graph doesn't show the full days, unfortunately you can only do day, week, month or year. It's a bit annoying, I can't do a custom date, but yeah, the 7 days, roughly 10,000 steps, so that's good. Quite a low day there, you can see, but the rest averaged it out. Sleep was slightly down this week, averaging around 6 hours as opposed to 6.5 hours getting last week, but 6 hours does me quite well, so that's fine, and I can cope with that. Impacts of no alcohol now, so I'm going to stick these up on screen. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be doing this for. It doesn't give you long term, it'll just be the next week or two maybe, just so you can see what impact it is happening in the short term, even if it's just a short amount of time, what impact and what your body starts to regenerate and how it starts to do. So I'm going to stick a few graphs up and percentages there, and you can see what's been going on the last week or so, and the general improvements I should be feeling now, and I definitely feel like I am. My mental clarity is definitely clearing up already. And finally this week, how much medication is in my system as I took my 3rd dose last night, the 17th, and you can see it's around 4 milligrams as of yesterday when I took that, which I think is going to be really interesting for me to keep following along. I know a lot you do with shots and things like that, so I'm really interested and intrigued to see how much that keeps going up. Results time then, and what impact I've had on the scales. I've pretty much 2 weeks of being back at it properly, I'd like to say, or so to speak. On Friday, the 8th of August, I weighed 16 stone, 9 pounds, that's 233 pounds, or around 105 kilos. When I got on the scales this morning, Monday, the 18th of August, I weighed 16 stone, 7 pounds, that's 231 pounds, or around 104 kilos. That's another 2 pound or 1 kilo loss, and I'm really happy with that. I haven't added in loads of exercise, and I'm still on the lowest available dose of Mounjaro, which I didn't expect to be at this point in my journey. Plus, I had a Mackie D's. And as I said last week, I need to adjust to smaller losses and accept that this will be my journey going forward. There'll be weeks when I don't have a loss, I'll be maintaining, I need to embrace that and make sure I'm celebrating that. There might be non-scale victories that week. I might have lost an inch. I won't be losing an inch, but I might have lost millimeters or centimeters somewhere. I've got to really start realizing this is my journey and really be grateful for the loss every single week. And I really am at 2 pound again this week. I'm really happy with that. So all in all, I feel like things are heading in the right direction again. I'm definitely back on track. Plus, I've got my first meeting with my dietitian on Friday the 22nd. You can pick, you go through, you have a little read of their profiles, and the one I wanted to work with wasn't available to the 22nd. He had a football emoji, that's basically where I went for it, and said he was a big football fan. Knowing my luck though, he's bound to be a cop-out, and that means I'll have to probably book my next appointment with someone else. I'm just kidding there. I'm not really just kidding there, I probably would, I'm that bitter. There's also still loads I want to look into the voyage. I've not covered anywhere near what I'd like to yet, and I really need to. I'm paying for it, so that's something I need to do. I need to take a bit of time when I can to investigate the part of it I'm not using, what is available there to me. I'm not even looked at the coaching side yet. Now might be a good time to take advantage of that offer. Like I said, 25% off your first order with Voy. It's in the description below. As always, if there's anything you want me to try and answer or cover or discuss, stick it in the comments of this video. And same if you've got anything advice-wise or tips you want to pass on to others, leave it in the comments here. And either me or someone from your community will help you out if it's a query or question you've got, and I'll do my best to pass it on the next update. For now though, I hope you found this useful, I hope you found it interesting, I hope you found it fun or enjoyable, and if you haven't already, As I said earlier, please like and subscribe. If there's anything you want me to cover in a different video or a future update video, stick that in the comments too. Thanks for watching. Keep up your hard work, guys and girls. I know how much you're all put in. Hard work works, as they say, you know, plus you're already nailing it. And if I can do this, you can do this. We can all do this. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.